So it all starts for me in the home, in the kitchen, and clearly we free associate there, and we do our homework there, and basically a cafe is a whole world's kind of kitchen where you chat and meet with people and go back to base. You read a book or you daydream, and like music, I want to put pictures on the wall that sort of flow together in a way that sort of allows people to make that free association. Musicians and like Miles Davis, and writers like Jack Kerouac, and illustrators like Morris Sendak will all have spent time in the kitchen of their home, and then subsequently in cafes, either performing or writing or reflecting and listening. We do the same. Our life is a collage of bits and pieces. So we did the collage of Jimmy Ray's mind of Liverpool last year, and what's nice, I always like to think we're still part of the Beat generation. Ken Isley loves jazz, and Jack Kerouac wrote a lovely book about a boy called Pick, a little black boy who wanted to play the trumpet like Satchmo, really, and so it's about reaching for that note, reaching for that high. And Jimmy wrote his anthem to Liverpool, and City Cafe really is like a two-word haiku or poem, or title for a song or an album or a book. Cities, there's Paris and there's New York, and there's Liverpool, and London on the wall here, and although our emphasis is on this port of our own city, Liverpool, it takes us to the rest of the world. And so here in Stanley Street we've quoted sort of "Be the changes you wish to see" by Gandhi. We're looking to make those connections for people, allow people to sort of daydream. And now Alder Hey Children's Hospital saved my son's life, and although we didn't want the other wall, which we'd started to have autographs put on, getting overwhelmed, we thought we'd create a whole wall where people can sign. I haven't drawn too many black lines through the bricks and things like that, so people can actually write their name, even dedicate to the loved ones. But we want to collect a small stream of income. Currency is called currency because it's meant to flow. That's something my dad's saying. And here we've got the current of the Mersey running through, the reverie of myself sort of daydreaming on the banks, and looking through the glass here. Be the changes you wish to see is a poem of two people. It's Gandhi and Banksy. So here we are, sort of half-built people ready to be sort of penned in, and that's who we are too. This could be a well-dressed Gandhi in his hat, because he was a very astute and clever man. We visualise him in a loincloth, but he was a much more intellectual sort of person, quite used to wearing suits and being part of the literary society. So it's worth your while remembering that sort of these humble people have that childlike origin and able to get in touch with their compassionate human self. This is a romantic statement, this wall. It's got Lou and Ken sort of as a sort of wedding anniversary on one end of the wall. On these suitcases, they had a lovely day in Liverpool at the other end of town, resting on these suitcases, which is a sculpture of a similar kind to this port, to these people, immigration coming on and going through here. So you'll find in this collage of images that are me painting this wall, that's collaged with these already hanging images of cities, other associative thoughts, little pieces from last year's mural, and then things like Howard the Duck comic I bought from I was with a friend who used to be part of the Open Eye Gallery, the photography gallery, and he was a collector of these comics, and he showed me all these comic book places that were selling in the back streets of Liverpool at the time. And what's great about Howard the Duck, it's sort of based on Donald Duck, but he isn't quite so kitsch or so cheesy. He's realistic, and if a duck, surrealistic duck can be anthropomorphically realistic, then he is. He's realistic in so much as he's born into a world he didn't create, and my faith I always express is sort of, I'm not my own author. All these collages and bits and pieces that we take for granted, the ordinary are quite extraordinary, quite miraculous and quite wonderful. So here we have a tree with leaves forming on it, and we're like that. We've been grown through roots. I like what Paul Clay said, we take things in at the root, but the crown of the tree and the fruition and the flowers, they do something else. And in the same way as I couldn't have known what I was going to paint on this wall, or know that these walls were going to be available, or know that I was going to meet Jimmy Ray or Ken Isley, we have met, and we've become collages in each other's life. This little rowing boat musically associates with me as that I'd like to get you on a slow boat to China all to myself alone. I thought my mum and dad had, and they used to dance to such music. And you think there are other expressions and songs that are equally as wonderful. I got criticised in school, and they said this child lives in a world of his own. Well, I didn't. I lived in a collage world of making sense of other people's chats and bits with me, but nobody's a dictator for your thoughts. You can't let them be, because they're not going to be around to sort of take the responsibility of the mistakes they made when they fed you those ideas. So really, welcome to my world, won't you come on in? Fits very nicely with that sort of Planet Jim criticism that they levied onto me, and everybody's in their own planet, but it's overlapping with everybody else's. It's a lovely Gestalt prayer. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to mine. If we do, that's beautiful. If we don't, it's too bad. But I do think we do need the Gestalt idea. The whole thing is greater than the sum of the parts. So as I collage pieces together here, and musicians collage this riff and that riff together, and then we play it in beat with each other's heartbeats, we are only collaging, and we are only sort of having a rapport with each other. So here's Ken bringing somebody a coffee and then disappearing, and here's me painting two cats. I used to have a cat called Rembrandt, another one called Dylan, and Ken's got a couple of cats too, and one's called Stinky. I can't remember what the other one's called. It's written on the other wall anyway. These two romantic cats are in the middle, above a sort of Banksy poster, which I suppose is topical at the moment. There's two policemen kissing each other. There's a wonderful book, What's So Amazing About Grace, which looks at the current film that's very popular, Tous Les Mis, and we shouldn't really criticise and condemn and complain, because that's what fools do. We should seek to understand, as St. Francis said. And so there we are, the melting pot of these various cities, where people come together from various cultures to sort of make sense of each other. So it's a world kitchen, it's a world play, it's a place to do your homework, it's a place to reflect on books. I read a great book recently by David Williams about called The Girl in a Dress, and I think it's just a lovely little intro into Eddie Izzard, really, because it's got French in class, it's got a child who's missing his mum, it's got wearing the dress not as a kind of I want to be a girl, but because he misses his mum, and so there's a kind of womb-like quality to the reverie for the little character that's in the book. It's quite a lovely book. I think it's called Dennis, rather like a comic book, which is exactly how I think. You know, the Dennis the Menace comic books were cell-based, kind of coloured in kind of walls that were drawn onto my mind, if you like. The kitchen and the comic and the cereal box and the lettering on the cereal box, the unfoldable back that you can make into a cardboard mask of a jungle animal on the cereal box, all of that made sense, as did watching my mum cook and playing with the dough and making things. As I say, my favourite aspect of Maurice Sendak is he's got lots of different styles. It's not a good idea to have one style, because it means you're only listening to one style of music, or you're only thinking in one way. If you're going to seek to understand rather than seeking to be understood, you really do need to listen to other ways of expressing, and be with them as they seek to express what they're trying to say. My neighbour was called Stanley, so it's rather nice. He was a very Liverpudlian guy, so Stanley Street's where this is. So as you can see, when the bite of the pen line goes in, everything becomes very clear. Here we are then in Stanley Street, looking at the City Cafe, this two-word poem that marries the concept of city and cafe, of kitchen and of travel, of being here now but being in several places also. So become part of this cafe by writing on this wall, which will put a donation into Old Age Children's Hospital, because as I say, they saved my son's life. Thank you.